Welcome to the Field of 68 Best Bet Show, first round tournament edition. That's right. The three-man weaver here to talk you through all the games on Thursday and on Friday. BetRivers is our sponsor. Field of 68, they're great guys. Matt and Kai are in Vegas right now in Jim's house, chilling. We could probably hear each other room to room. It's going to be a little bit of a weird show, but it's going to be a fun one, guys. We're going to go down the list every single game. We're going to start with Thursday, but first, Jim, how are you, man? Thanks for showing us a good time last night. Didn't do anything too crazy. Just hung out.
Yeah, we just met up with our overlord, Mr. Goodman. He ordered us around the strip. But Kai, it's all about Thursday and Friday. The games are coming up fast. Going to get a quality discussion in here, and then boy, it's almost time.
Mm-hmm. Matthew?
I'm great, man. The reverb in the background is interesting, but this will test just how skilled I am at this profession. Mm-hmm. So let's get into it. Big slate. And hey, We're not talking NIT. If I hear any more inquiries in the chat about NIT. Them, we're going to boot you. You're going to be tossed.
Absolutely zero
suspended for 3 months without
zero funds, sir. Well, guys, we're going to go in chronological order for your enjoyment, for your pleasure. Let's start with Colorado State, Michigan, the 6-11 game. Michigan right now a 2.5-point favorite. And guys, news broke yesterday. Colorado State, a bit of a travel fiasco. Now, I don't think it matters too much, Jim, but Nico Medved and the boys found out their flight to Indianapolis last night around 11 o'clock Pacific time, and they flew out this morning at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern there would be practice schedule. They're like, okay, suddenly we got to pack up, get to Indy. We don't know when we're going to practice there. They're still getting there on Tuesday and they play Thursday. Like they're going to be there for 48 hours. I'm not really concerned about like jet lag or something, or being a little discombobulated by the time change. Not a problem. Matt, what intrigues me here is the potential for Colorado State to go small and play David Roddy at the 5. It's a lineup they went to a lot late in the season. James Moore's had a really bad game in the Mountain West Tournament semifinals. So now they've got to deal with, if they go small, they got to deal with Dickinson somehow, but man, that means Michigan has to deal with them too. The way they can space the floor, Roddy can spread it out to the perimeter. That gives both teams a clear edge to points. So I'm actually leaning towards an efficiency-based over here, Matthias. And I also think it's a kind of a coin flip. So I would probably take the points with Colorado State.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, Diabate, they've played a lot of those two big lineups recently. So you could have this double big twin tower lineup, Michigan against a small ball Colorado State lineup. So a fascinating chess match there. I would tend to give the edge in that to Medved. But again, I believe in this Michigan team. I have not reacted to some of their oscillations back and forth. I have been favored by a lot larger than the current spread indicates. I did bet them, but I do worry a little bit about Medved finding some holes with those. Again, if Diabate and Dickinson are more agile than people give them credit for, but they can be exposed if they spread them out with the way Medved can orchestrate offense. I'm with Jim. I like the over, but I'm on Michigan too, Kai.
Yeah, I'm on Michigan, guys. There's no answer for Hunter Dickinson. At the very least, he's going to get guys in foul trouble. And Colorado State's then to begin with up there in terms of guys who can guard or put up a fight in the post. I think Diabate's a matchup problem too. Devontae Jones playing a lot better recently. We've talked about that. He'll have his hands full with Stevens, though. I agree with Jim. The Colorado State guards are no joke. I love Colorado State. I just don't like the matchup for them. I think they got a tough draw here. So I'll take Michigan. Moving on, the next game is one of great intrigue, guys. It's South Dakota State, our Jack Bunnies, against Providence, a team that's gotten so much attention for being lucky, for being actually worse than their record indicates. Matt, we've heard the narrative. Well, it's +2 is the spread for the Bunnies, and I can already see the narrative both ways. Providence wins. Haha, idiots. I knew you thought they'd lose. They're legit. South Dakota State wins. Haha, told you Providence is lucky. Ha ha ha. What side of the fence do you go on, Matt?
Yeah, John Fanta talks about on our Field of 68 After Dark show how this is the type of stuff that this Providence team feeds on. And a lot of the cliche stuff that we hate is relevant to this team with how good their mojo is running this season. All that said, I did fade them. Okay. I took the Jack Bunnies. I think they just come out and blitz the Friarship with the flurry of threes. The way they can score from all over the floor, not just relying on 3-point shooting, but they can also make shots inside the arc. Douglas Wilson can do some damage inside, even against Nate Watson. Kai mentioned we saw Doug Wilson run circles around USC. I don't think he's going to be He won't shy away from this challenge. So go Jack Bunnies, baby.
Yeah, I think the narrative about South Dakota State getting beat up inside is a little too strong. Like Dent Langer and Luke Apple are solid bodies in there. Douglas Wilson is no slouch, no pushover. And yeah, like the 3-point shooting for South Dakota State can always be a weapon, but they play inside out. Like that's really more what they're about. We had Eric Henderson on After Dark, and he mentioned that. Like I think the 3-point shooting is what jumps out to people, but they're a very stout interior team. If it's close late, that's going to be dicey because Providence is like unbeatable in a close game.
Yeah.
But Kai, I did take +2.5 when it was there on Sunday. I'm on the Jackrabbits. I think they get it done. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's wrong.
That's right. I had to take the Bunnies too. I'm a man of principle. I said I would do it if they got matched up with Princeton. Matt's right. It's the best defense in the Summit. Still allows like 1.01 points per possession. Not great. Yeah, man. I think South Dakota State can get it done. Hey, shooting. They're one of the best shooting teams in the country.
Shot making's fun to bet on. Shot making's fun to bet on.
Next game, guys. I would say the game I'm most torn on of any in the tournament. We're talking about an 8-9 matchup. Boise State and Memphis in the West region. Memphis -2.5. Jim, Boise's probably not the team Memphis wanted to see. Boise's super long, athletic, physical, just like the Tigers. Who do you have in this game?
Kai, I would say neither of these teams wanted to see the other. Both are very stout defensively, like you said, both physical, both athletic. Boise was great in close games this year too. They don't quite have the narrative that Providence does, but I think both these teams are very feisty. I have a really tough time with the side, but Kai, you know what I am going to do? Best bet under, baby. Under 133. Yeah. I think this game's a brawl. Boise State slows it down to the half court. Neither team can make free throws. I'm a little worried about Memphis's pressure and speeding the game up a little bit. Boise hasn't been awesome against pressure this year per synergy numbers, but I'm still okay with it. I think Boise will do a good enough job slowing it down and efficiency will be low enough. So Matt, under for me.
Yeah, Jim, I think the under is a great play. The only reason that wouldn't go under is right if there's some helter-skelter up and down nonsense from turnovers. But if this game does play in the half court, efficiency should be low. Kai, I took Memphis. The youth first experience angle is real here. Boise is an old team. They're physical with AKOT and Kijab, and these dudes have been around the block, and I think they kind of have the chip on the old shoulder. Tyson Degenhart, my boy, freshman phenom. Love this Boise team, but I think Memphis just has more bullets in the chamber. So I think that athleticism and that speed overwhelms them, even though they are sort of battle tested by playing in that Mountain West. I just think Memphis has the edge.
I think Memphis is a notch above just everything Boise is, and they're underseeded. So I think there's value there. I take Memphis as well. All right. Baylor, Norfolk State. I don't know if we need to belabor the 1 versus 16 matchups, guys, too much here, but I'm taking Baylor -21. I think a lot of people think Baylor's weak, Matt. That's silly. We just saw them beat Kansas and Texas shorthanded. They're going to be fine. Norfolk lost to Xavier by 40 this season. Haven't played a top 90s team since. What do you think?
Yeah, I love Baylor. I guess their injuries are a worry, but they have 7 guys, and I love those 7 dudes. Similar narrative with Arizona. We'll talk about them later. I think they smashed Norfolk. Jim?
Baylor first half. I think they smashed in the first half. Norfolk got embarrassed by Xavier from the jump in that game. I think that might ride over a little bit. Baylor, not a deep rotation. Perhaps they bring the cover squad in late and the back door could be blowing open. But I think first half Baylor is worthwhile.
All right, guys. One of my favorite matchups on the board, because I love this team, Tennessee versus Longwood. And I'm talking about Longwood, Jim. I love Longwood.
I know you do.
Plus 17. My reaction was, wow, this spread is high, Jim, even though Tennessee, I think, is underseeded, like most agree. What do you think?
Set me up on a platter, Kai. I will hit it out of the park. Longwood, plus 17. Best bet. Boom. Lancers.
Nice.
They can stay close because they can shoot. You have to be able to make threes against Tennessee. They'll keep you out of the paint. And Longwood can do that. They've got 2 guys shooting over 40% on high volume, and then 4 other guys in the rotation that can knock them down. Some slight concerns on the defensive glass, even though Longwood was the best defensive rebounding team in the Big South. That's kind of damning with faint praise a little bit there. I think Tennessee's size can work them a little bit, but the shooting, the guard play, the fact that all their guards are physical is something I really like about Longwood.
Weight room, backcourt, baby.
Yep.
Not a good representative of that, but you get the idea. Right?
Yeah. Don't take Matt as a weight room reference. But yeah, Matt, this is my second best bet of Thursday. Already knocking that out. I only have 2, so they're all out there already. But Longwood plus 17.
Jim, I've gone back and forth a million times. I'm with Longwood and our guy Griff Aldridge, baby. I do have serious concerns about the Tennessee matchup, just with the physicality they can impose up front. But again, I actually like the size advantage of those guards going against Chandler and Ziegler. So got to make some shots. Longwood takes some deep, sometimes contested threes, and their forms like Wilkins and Wade have that kind of herky jerky form, but they hit them, and they're going to have to make a few to stay competitive here.
Longwood has a giant killer formula. Great coach, experienced team, especially the guards. 6th best 3-point shooting team in the country. Physical, rebound well, play hard, slow the game down. Don't look to run. That's a giant killer mentality. I think plus 17 is a lot. I like Longwood as well. Next game, guys, Richmond and Iowa. Matthew, I'm kind of tired of fading Iowa. And 10.5 is a lot of points for a Spiders team. I respect one of the oldest teams in the country. A point guard, Jacob Gilliard, is a senior leader. Who do you like?
I took Richmond. And honestly, as the hours go by, I worry that I've not taken full stock of this Iowa defensive transformation. Like they forced how many turnovers against Purdue? Like a fairly smart, stable backcourt. We saw them swallow up Northwestern. I think Richmond's smart enough to take care of the ball, but they're going to need a couple of guys to come back and help Gilliard break some of that pressure that Fran's starting to throw out there. That zone in the half court's a little tricky. It takes Richmond out of what they want to do offensively. All that said, Jim, itsy bitsy Spiders, arachnids assemble. We're backing them plus 10.
Yeah, it's just a little high, man. I'm not a numbers guy in the NCAA tournament. In the NCAA tournament, I usually go away from my numbers, is what I'm saying. I'm more matchup based, more coach based. But this one, man, I made it around 5.5, 6. Maybe my rating's not high enough on Iowa at this point. Could be a little lagging behind, but Richmond's experienced. They can score. Iowa's defense is very bad. I think Gilliard will force some havoc in the backcourt with his steal prowess. So yeah, I'm begrudgingly taking 10.5 here, Kai. I'm acutely aware of what Iowa could do to them offensively and potentially put up like 90 points, but it's just a little high to me. I got to stick with it on principle.
Yeah, of course, Jim. And we're betting every game in the tournament when we're in Vegas. Of course we are. So I will have some money on Richmond plus 10.5 here. Iowa's defense isn't great. It's weak. I think Mooney's crew can score on it without issue. Now, Richmond cannot stop Iowa. So I like the over here at 150. Pace is not going to be there, but efficiency is going to be out the wazoo. I lean the over, like the Spiders at plus 10.5.
Hey, Wazoo got a mention on an NCAA tournament show. Congrats.
Man, kind of sucks that they didn't make
the tournament. They'll be here next year. They'll be here next year.
I think so too. All right, next game, another 16-1 matchup. Georgia State, Gonzaga. Georgia State plus 23.5. Jim, is Georgia State the best 16 seed ever?
Maybe not ever. There's some like that one Penn team was remarkable that played against Kansas. They were really good. But this team, when healthy, they should not be a 16. They won 12 of their last 13 after they got right. They can do some things that give Gonzaga problems. The pressure, I think we saw Gonzaga exposed a little bit against San Francisco late in that game, although it was a 20-point lead, so they were a little lackadaisical. They were not attacking pressure to score. They were basically attacking it to stall. And that's when you can get in trouble. I think they'll attack this pressure to score. But I trust the paint defense of Georgia State to at least neutralize Timmy and Holmgren a little bit. Enough to cover 23.5. That still feels just a little bit high for a Georgia State team. This version of it with the full health that they have, leaning towards Georgia State.
Yeah, I do too, even at the still number. So I just think it gets a little bit into a half court affair, as it's impossible to do against Gonzaga. I think Georgia State can control the tempo enough to keep this fairly slow. And you're right, the size up front is notable. I mean, Thomas and Saseme are big dudes.
Mm-hmm. AJ Donaldson asked about 1st to 15 for Georgia State. They are I think Jack Gillis put out a trend sheet that showed like shot making and shot quality, and they are in like the bottom quadrant of both shot quality and shot making. They take terrible shots and don't always knock them down. So I don't know if they have the high variance I want in a 1st to 15 team. I'm considering it, but it's not my favorite of the 1st to 15s.
Yeah, it's kind of a prayer that Georgia State hits enough shots. They're very experienced. They should have won. They expected to be the Sun Belt champs. And maybe they slow down the Zags a little bit with their funky zone. That's kind of the hope if you're on the Panthers today or Thursday. Next game. Not too many left here. Well, about halfway. Marquette versus UNC. I know we got takes in this one, guys. Marquette is +3. And Matt, I'm going to say it right here. And Jim agrees with me because I know the guy. Marquette is scrappy as a dog. Guess what they are against the spread? 11-5-1 against the spread as an underdog. I think their zone press gives UNC ball handlers fits. What do you think?
I've gone back and forth in this game so many dang times. Marquette's not been playing as well lately. The problem is they just have had a very erratic supporting cast. Morcell and Lewis, people have been able to key in on them, and they haven't gotten the ancillary production from others on a consistent basis. And UNC, I kind of still think they're legit. I know the Virginia Tech game looks like an eyesore, but just stretch out that time span the last 3 weeks prior, pretty damn impressive. So I kind of lean the Tar Heels. I don't know if I'd take it at -3, Jim.
No, I wouldn't take it. I would take Marquette +3. So stop waffling, Matt. Get on board the Golden Eagles. I like Shaka quite a bit as a dog. I think they're 9-3 against the spread as a diggity dog this year. They got a little overvalued late in the season, which I think hurt their performance a little bit. Maybe some freshmen hit the wall. They do play a decent amount of youngsters, but I love throwing Daryl Morcell at Caleb Love, a little cut the head off the snake type of thing for the UNC offense. Plenty concerned about Baycott in the offensive glass. Definitely think he gets his 20 and 10, Kai, but I'm riding with Marquette there.
Yeah, I think Baycott has his way. I don't think anyone's guarding Justin Lewis. I think he's a tough matchup for UNC. I know Leaky Black's out there, but you got to throw him on somebody, right?
Kai, there's going to be a lot of Justin Lewis doing that.
Yes.
He's too little.
A lot of little guy. Because he's right. They are too little. They can't guard him. I like Marquette +3 as well. All right, next game. New Mexico State is heading, well, not heading. They're playing UConn. 12-5 matchup, a juicy one. I got to be honest, I was hoping for a better matchup for New Mexico State. I'm still going to back them here, Jim, at +7. But man, UConn with their size, they can out-athlete and out-physical the Aggies. They're better at their brand. What do you think?
Yeah, that's kind of the concern, that they're facing a team that has a lot of what they like to do and is better at it. New Mexico State has made the tournament a bunch of times since like 2005, and they've never won a game. They got really close against Auburn, and I think that was their best team, the Trevel and Queen squad off the bench. This one is not that good. Teddy Allen is a terrific scorer, and he was able to dominate the WAC. But, Matt, this team lost to Chicago State. They lost to Chicago State. Come on, that is a horrific outcome for the WAC champion. That really bothers me. I know they had some injury and sickness issues. Johnny McCants did not play, and he's a massive piece for them, both offensively and defensively. But I worry that UConn can bully them a little bit. They have matchups to throw at Teddy Allen. If I had to bet this, and I am betting every game this year with, some sort of form or another, I'm not taking a side. I'm taking the under. I think it's kind of a half-court brawl.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Martin, I think that's like the prototype guy you want to slot on Allen, right? Big physical wing
and Jackson too.
And Jackson too. I mean, a little leaner but long. And I think that takes away Allen's interior game and turns him into a jump shooter. And yeah, he can make 10 in a matter of a half hour, it feels like sometimes, but I don't trust him really as a shooter. Got to cut the head off of the snake. I think Connecticut can, and then have their way inside. I like the Huskies. I didn't take it -7. Feels a little bit too high against a coach I like in Chris Jans, but that's the side I lean.
I am taking the Aggies. Chris Jans greater than sign. Dan Hurley for me. UConn makes a lot of mistakes. They can't really exploit New Mexico State's ball handling issues. They're not really a pressure team, forced turnovers type of team. I like New Mexico State. I'm taking it. I'm not taking them to win. Taking them against the spread. All right, next game, guys. We can really breeze past this one. It's St. Peter's, Kentucky. Kentucky's -18, Matt. This is going to be such a massive beatdown. They're going to see it from space. What do you think?
Yeah, St. Peter's ranks outside the top 300 in all major synergy categories from an offensive efficiency perspective. Like, they don't do anything well offensively. They basically have two guys.
That's against the MAC, too.
Against the MAC, the MAAC, Jim, not even the M-single-AC, the MAAC. And they're not going to score against Kentucky unless Doug Eater and Matthew Banks make threes. That's like their only hope for offense, because what they do in the MAC is those guys get shots and then they just go try and get second, third chance opportunities. And it happened against Kentucky. So unless those dudes just have an out-of-body experience, I think Kentucky rolls pretty easily.
Yeah, Kentucky can take away the three. They do a decent job of that, and they have
and they defend the three too. Their length.
Oscar Tshiebwe is going to go nuts in this game. I think he could have 20 rebounds. Kai would not surprise me. 20 rebounds in like the first 30 minutes before he sits down because they're up by 30 points. I think this is one of my favorite first-round smashes. Kind of Kentucky did it to Abilene Christian 2 years ago, a great defense, or 3 years ago, 2019. I think they can do it again here. A team with no offense and a defense that has not held up well against power competition.
Yeah, I wrote down 25 and 25 for Sheboy. I mean, Casey Nadefo, they're 6'7", St. Peter's big man, defensive player of the year in the MAC, like every single year. He's going to get worked. Maryland worked him 2 years ago. So I think Kentucky just smashes.
Yep.
All right, moving on. St. Mary's gets a play-in winner, guys. I don't want to dwell too much on this.
Let's hit the pig. Let's hit the pig while we're
okay. I like that. Indiana, Wyoming. Then Matthew wrote this for our lovely site for Action Network as well. Matt, your Hoosiers, you're an alum. They stuck in the tournament. They're playing Wyoming. Jeff Linder coach team that we really respect.
Do they suck in the tournament? Are they in often enough to say they snuck?
Excuse me. They
snuck.
Oh,
they snuck.
Okay.
They snuck in. Yeah, your alma mater's been there more frequently than mine. Last decade or so, or since whatever. We don't need to litigate this. It's been bad for both of our programs. We're going to be fine now. We're coming back when Mizzou makes the right hiring decision. Wink, wink. Great matchup for Indiana, first round. I think it's a terrible matchup waiting in the second round against St. Mary's so they can get by Wyoming. I think their interior fortress gym is tailor-made to shut down what Wyoming's bread and butter is, which is basically post-ups through Graham Ike. They also have multiple guys that can slot on Maldonado, both from a wing perspective and a forward perspective. I like the under almost more. I think both teams have a hard time scoring in this game.
Yeah, the under's my bet in that game. If I'm making one, not a best bet for the show, but yeah, I will be back in it. I have this weird working theory that Graham Ike is better against bigger defenders because he can actually be more physical and they won't just flop all the time and get him called for offensive fouls. Like he was ineffective against UNLV, who doesn't really have a big sizable post defender other than Milwaukee, and he's kind of thin. But against bigger guys, like I think he can actually, there's more resistance. So his moves have more like counterbalance. But I'm kind of with Matt. I think they can shut him down. I think this is a really tough matchup for Wyoming, especially with the way Indiana's trending. They're actually playing well. I think they get to the St. Mary's game, Kai, and then St. Mary's executes them to ribbons, just completely frustrates them with their discipline and patience.
We're on the same page, guys. EK is going to get in foul trouble against IU pretty dang quick. All right, moving on. Creighton, San Diego State, another 8-9 matchup. San Diego State favored by 2 here. Jim, defense. Creighton's is good. San Diego State's is better. The number 2 defense in the country. Who do you like?
I like the defense, Kai. I think both teams are terrific at the rim. It's going to be impossible for either team to get easy buckets. Kalkbrenner and Mensa are 2 of the best rim protectors in the entire country. Creighton doesn't have a point guard. I know that they won some games without him, but I think against San Diego State's defense, that shows up even more, kind of the way it did against Villanova when they couldn't score, partially because they were ice cold from deep. But San Diego State makes it really difficult to shoot because they have a lot of length. They challenge everything on the perimeter. I'm leaning towards the Aztecs, Matthew, laying the small number, and then leaning towards the under as well.
I actually like the over. I did some data work this morning, Jim. Overs on really, really, really low totals in the NCAA tournament have actually been pretty good. So that's a stupid data angle in a nutshell. Everything screams under in this matchup. You're right. I did not take it because of that. Some historical data precedents.
What's the data say? Is it like 55% or what are you telling me?
It was like 7-1 to the over since 2016 when the total was under
size.
when the total was under 125. So 8 huge games, Jim. Massive sample there, significant to some.
Matt, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the data you just gave me. I'm going to throw it right back in your face. I'm taking the under 120 as my best bet for one of them for this particular day. The defense is too good. I think Jim is right on Nimhard.
Jim Hard.
Him not being in this game is a big deal against San Diego State, who pressures you in the half court, force turnovers. You need ball handlers to beat them. Also, Creighton cannot shoot. Like a terrible three-point shooting team, 314th in the country. They need to get inside. They need to get to the rim. They need to give it to Kalkbrenner. Mentz is a total eraser on that front. 6th in 2-point percentage defense this year is San Diego State. I think this is their game. I think it's going to go under the 120-point total. Again, one of my best bets for Thursday.
And Matt, take that for data.
Take that for data.
I ignored all of you. I don't want to hear it. My data matters more.
The good news is one of us is going to be right. So we'll just tout whoever's right.
A winner. Exactly.
That's basically how Twitter touts work, I think. Next game, Arkansas, Vermont. Man, Jim, +5. It's super short. No tie is going to be a huge problem, but I have to take my Catamounts, man. It's Vermont's best team since 2005, the Tom Brennan coach team.
Yep. I scooped up a +6 on Sunday, so I'm backing the Catamounts. I know that Note could be a problem, but I actually think Shungu is like a perfect matchup for him. He's a physical specimen. He's been defensive player in the league in the America East before. I actually don't know if he repeated as it this year, but I'm pretty sure he won it last year. He is a tough matchup for Note. I think he can bother him. I don't think this Vermont team is athletically limited as Colgate was last year, who got completely worn down by Arkansas's pressure. Maybe a better bet would be Vermont first half, just to hedge against the potential for that to happen. But I think this Vermont offense comes out and opens the eyes of Arkansas. They're like, whoa, this team can't score inside, outside. They can knock down triples. So I think they punch them in the mouth early. I don't know what the odds would be on a 1st to 15. I like that for Vermont. I certainly like them in the first half, and I took them full game, as I mentioned. That is, there is some worry to it, though, and I think Matt's going to tell you why.
Yeah, I took Arkansas. It's my best bet, and I hate it. I'm going to cry myself to sleep when Vermont goes 15 of 30 from three, and Ryan Davis puts up 25 and 12 on Jalen Williams. But that's where I think the edge is for Arkansas, is they have Jalen Williams, who is one of the best, if not the best, post defender in the SEC.
All you have to be able to. He's a flopper. He takes a ton of charges.
He does take a ton of charges for a guy who could block like a lot of shots. But he's just a great stout post defender, rock solid. I think he's built to defend Ryan Davis, and that puts a lot of pressure on the guards to score. And you're right, Jim, they are more athletically charged this year than I think the typical Vermont teams we saw with Anthony Lamb. But Arkansas is just even more athletic, even faster on their perimeter. I think they can dial it up with some spurtability and get away from the Catamounts. So Arkansas -5 against the early money, Kai.
I have a rule that if you're over 6'10", you should not ever take a charge. You shouldn't do it. It's a bad play. It's a bad
ban charges.
I think we should just get rid of them all.
Matt, I am worried about Arkansas. I'll give you that. They're mobile and strong bigs. They have strength too. Is a problem against Ryan Davis, who usually has an advantage pulling the 5-man out to the perimeter because that guy can shoot as well as posts up. He's a stud, 2-time America East Player of the Year, but I'm not sure he's going to do much against Arkansas. They are so much more athletic. They have the big wings to make it tough in Vermont, but Vermont can shoot. Top 3 team in the country in shooting. I mean, they haven't played anyone since December 7th, basically, but I trust this team in the tournament. I'm making it hot. Like Jim said, a first half bet is probably the best way to lean, but I'll take full game. I'll put my money where my mouth is.
Matt, do you have concern about it being in Buffalo? The chat is mentioning that. I
was just going to mention that. I'm doing a call to action on top of that to the mobsters to bring up any other notable location, timing, potential edges. I've been trying to make a list myself, but I feel like I'm splitting hairs there. That does not worry me. I think there's bigger travel location concerns on the board than this one. I know Vermont's going to travel well to that game, but that doesn't give me like a big travel time zone change concern from an Arkansas perspective. I don't know. It's a long flight, sure, but it's not like you're going West Coast to East Coast.
Yeah. All right. Next game.
Kai is out on timing and schedule matchup angles. Out.
In the tournament? Absolutely.
I think it does matter a little bit.
They have 2 days, 2 or 3 days to adjust. I'm not worried about
I don't know why they don't travel until today or tomorrow in some cases. It's dumb. They should be traveling immediately after. Whatever. Yeah. NCAA is messing it up, as we saw with Colorado State.
They don't know where they're going until Sunday, Matt. They got to figure it out. Matt is the last minute travel booker. So he's like, oh, it's easy to just book a flight.
It's easy. Right now, I can buy a flight in 2 hours. I'll be out of McCarran Airport. No problem. So.
All right, guys, let's move on. We have 3 more games to hit on Thursday and one's a plan. So Murray State, San Francisco is where we go next. The entire world is disappointed, Matthew, that these 2 teams got matched up in the first round. Obviously, 2 of the best mid-majors in the country. I'm spoiling it now. Murray State -1.5 is my second best bet. I actually took them at +1 when it opened. I think the Dons are in trouble if Squirrel cannot go. They're down to 1 legit big man then with Tape. No offense to the guy's name I cannot pronounce, who's a very good player in his own right.
Vova Markovetsky.
Thank you very much, Jim. How do you stop KJ Williams with just Tape and that guy? I don't think you can. Who guards Tevin Brown? I don't think anybody. I love the Dons. They can shoot, but Murray State's on a different level, I think.
I've actually swung a little bit back the other way on this one. I was leaning Murray State pretty hard. But I think the Dons have some matchup angles they might be able to exploit here. But again, the key is Jan Misowski, right? If he's not in there and he's not 100%, I think that basically takes away any possible edge or avenue to success or negating Murray that San Fran could have here, Jim. So it's just a bummer that if Masowski's not in there, not 100%, then I'm going to be worried. So no play for me here on the fence.
Yeah, I'm leaning Murray State. This was brought up to me. I kind of forgot this by my buddy Tim Murray at VSiN. But 2019, Murray State beats Marquette first round. Kai, do you know who their leading scorer was in that game?
It was not John Morant.
It was Tevin Brown. It was not John Morant. KJ Williams also started and played 24 minutes.
They were freshmen on that team. Yeah.
They have tournament experience. They've been here. Like, it's wild that they're still around, but I think that matters a little bit here. This is San Francisco's first NCAA tournament since 1998, Golden's first tournament. I wonder if there's any issues to that where they're just kind of like, oh, we're happy to be here. We made it. We'll see. But yeah, I'm leaning towards the Racers. I've just been so high on them all season. And maybe San Francisco's analytical rankings are slightly inflated by blowing out bad teams. So I'm going Murray.
Mm. Oh, Matthew, I'm sorry. I thought you had one more thing to add.
I have nothing else to add. Zero more to add.
Murray State best bet. I don't think it's done at -1.5. I think it's going to get up to 3 before a game starts.
I agree. Right. It's gonna. If you like Murray, get in now. I'm with Kyle on that one.
It's going to keep rising. All right, UCLA, Akron. Wow, guys, no one likes the Zips.
I've come around, Kai. I've come around.
I like that nobody likes the Zips. At 14, that's a lot of points. I think they can hang, Jim. I think they can make this ugly, slow to a crawl. They love 60 possession games. Everyone's overlooking them. The MAC, I think, has won a game in the tournament the last 4 or so years. It's a tough conference in the first round. What do you think?
Under. I like the under. I think your angle about slowing it down is extremely spot on. I do have some concerns about Akron scoring in the half court, enough to not want to back the +14. I'm just okay with taking the under. I think this one is ugly. UCLA has more shot making in the half court. They're bigger. I mean, Akron has solid big guys. It's a big part of their success, but they're not large. Like they're like 6'7", 200-pound forwards. So I have a little bit of concern going against Cody Riley, against Miles Johnson. Even Hawkins can bully those guys. Like he's strong enough to do that. Mm-hmm. So as much as I kind of buy the slow down, grimy it up angle for the dog, I'm just more comfortable, Matt, going with the under.
I'm starting to side with Tredo takes Kai here. I think if those long, rangy wings you mentioned for Akron, while they're not like big enforcers up front, I think that matches up well with this new version of UCLA, which is mostly wings that, attack off the bounce and make shots. It's not really an offense that runs through Riley or Miles Johnson. I think they're more like complementary scorers. So I think that's what Cronin should try and focus on. But if he doesn't and lets Hawkes and Jules Bernard, who's been kind of a star lately too, do their thing. I think Akron's actually built to, like Kai mentioned, not shut them down, but keep it fairly competitive. And Kai, I think some of the money's coming on our side now. We can now be on the same side of the aisle here with our Zips down to 14.
Well, I mean, I want to make it clear, UCLA totally overwhelms them talent and size wise. I just think Akron's tough. They play very well together. I buy this chemistry of this team. I know it's very intangible and hard to prove on any sort of level, but just a feeling, just a gut. So Akron +14 is a ticket I'll be holding on Thursday. All right, finally, it's Kansas versus the winner of Texas A&M Corpus Christi and Texas Southern. And those 16 seeds, guys, are going to have a huge home court advantage because it's Fort Worth, Matthew.
Oh, yeah.
Fort Worth, Texas. Let's talk Texas Southern Corpus Christi real quick because that's the first game that's tipping of the tournament. So exciting. It's almost here. Matt, I'm taking Corpus Christi. Extremely well-coached team. Steve Lutz, former Purdue Creighton assistant. Just really impressed with their season. They're tough. They're not nearly as big as Texas Southern, probably not even as athletic, but man, are they going to force turnovers. They're going to force 20+ turnovers against Texas Southern. I think they can keep it close.
It's a pure bet on coaching. I'm with you. Let's roll Isles. I am worried about, upwards of 20 offensive rebounds from Texas Southern in this game. They have just droves of dudes to send to the glass, but I think the coaching is real here. Steve Lutz is awesome. One of the best coaches in college basketball no one knows about yet.
Yeah, Corpus as an underdog has been awesome all season. I think they win outright against Texas Southern, and I think they hang around and annoy Kansas in the opening round. Maybe that spread will be, Corpus Christi is low in analytics, so I think that spread could be probably 25 or higher. Yep. And that's fine for me. I'll take something up around +26 or something, Kai.
Yep. All right, guys. Hey, let's do a quick recap of our Thursday best bets. I took Murray State -1.5 and Creighton San Diego State under 120. Matthew.
I took Arkansas -5. Womp. Jim.
Hey, you're finally not making a best bet a bad team. You're starting to please the people by taking a favorite, a team that's
bad teams have been
better.
good in March though. Maybe I should stick with bad teams. Now that you say that.
There you go. My best bets are Longwood +17, making enough threes to hang with Tennessee, and Memphis Boise under 133. I think that one is a rock fight.